Hello, everyone. I'm Hugo.
Jake.
And this is Unpopular Culture, and we're here today to talk about the Defenders' final series before they team up, and that is Marvel's Iron Fist. And I asked a minute ago any opening questions from the audience, because this is a live stream and we have like a live audience. So they said, is Iron Fist good or bad? Solid opening question. Jake, was Iron Fist good or bad?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good answer to that question. I feel like over the next half an hour, 45 minutes, you're going to hear us say things a lot about how it was almost really good, how it could have been so good. But
yeah, it kind of has this. When you remember when you watch Batman v Superman, and when you watch the Batman fight, you go, "Holy shit, that's a really good Batman fight!" And then Superman comes on the screen, and you're like, "Please get off the screen." Claire is Superman in this series.
Okay.
And I don't know, some of the stuff, like it comes, and we'll talk. Obviously, this is full of spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, why the fuck? But you've had plenty of time. So I guess let's talk about the first 3 episodes, because they're basically the same episode.
Yes.
They're all the Danny Rand is back. No, but really, is he back? Yes, he's back, but I don't believe he's back, but he's back. And it's sort of this like stolen identity thing, which at times is really effective, and it's frustrating, but it's supposed to be frustrating, so that's okay. And some of the story stuff is fine, but like, I didn't need to fucking know that what's his face, what's the brother's name, Clint or I don't remember his name, but he's one of the best actors in this. So
Ward Meachum, you talking about?
Ward, and the guy from 300 calls him Ward, like really slow, but because he's doing an English or an American accent. But I didn't need to know that he was bullied by him, and like they could have been childhood friends, and everything would have been exactly the same. Like it wouldn't have changed shit. And then he has that freak out where he's like dealing with anger issues, and that never really comes back up until like in a passing line about how the Iron Fist works. Like he harnesses that sort of shit. And so the first 3 episodes, while I do like some aspects, especially like just learning about the new character is fun, but they don't really, like Daredevil had like, oh, he's blind, we know immediately, here's his backstory, but we'll intersperse it with other shit. This was more clumsily done than that, and it was long-winded.
I agree. The problem with this, at least for me, at least in part, was if they wanted to go for Danny's backstory is a mystery. We're going in, it's a lesser-known character. Even if you're a fan of Iron Fist in the comics, most people we know don't know who Iron Fist is. So if they wanted to go into it saying, well, we're going to keep his backstory actually quite a bit of a mystery, we're going to stretch it out a little bit, so maybe you kind of have to piece it together, that would be fine, because even I guess probably coming up to this, I would have Googled it to find out, but I would have gone to the show knowing less. But even just in the trailers for the show, they pretty much, you understand the concept immediately. He got stranded in a mystical place in the mountains, and he got trained by monks. Like, that's the answer. It was in the trailers for the show. So you can't stretch it out over like 3 episodes trying to figure out exactly what happened to him, because you already know going in.
What would have been cool is if, like a lot of Iron Fist fans know that that's kind of how his shit works. He's trained by monks. You could have like not blown your wad on that, and it could have been like a real actual mystery for the audience, and maybe you can even change it for people that are already fans, like make it Comertage or something. And so he started at Comertage, didn't like it, and moved on, and it's kind of like a wink to Doctor Strange or whatever, because this is of course in the same universe. I don't know, it didn't feel like it had any real punch to it, as far as like that wasn't a pun. It was, I don't know, it didn't really have any of the discovery and the sort of, like, they did a really good job in Daredevil season 1, like 2 sides of the same coining Fisk and Daredevil. Like, one uses his actual fist to beat people up, and the other one uses his influence to wreak havoc, but they do it for different means or reasons. And I thought that was interesting. Like they took their time with scenes and stuff, and that happens occasionally in this, but it's not. I don't know. It's lacking a certain thing that I can't put my finger on, but it basically they either tell you too much information or not enough to make you invested in that information. So it's weird. And then Wong, whatever her name is, again, it's been a couple weeks since I actually watched it. The dojo lady, what's her name? Colleen, fucking Wing. She was just the driest new character. They didn't like she goes through this. I don't like you, Danny Rand. So now I guess we're gonna be fuck buddies. I suppose. Like now I need you. I'm in love with you or some shit. But it was like a switch. It wasn't like this arc. It was like a triangle.
Yeah, it turns out, and again, we said spoilers, it turns out that she was working for the Hand and helping recruit street kids because they've established before, it works a little bit like the Foot from Ninja Turtles, the movie, if you remember, where the kids are on the street, so the Hand will recruit them. Well, actually, however, the Foot is a parody of the Hand in the first place, so that makes sense why they're similar.
Right, but it has fewer mesh tank tops and just
arcade
cheeseburgers and skateboards because those are bad kid things. Also cigarettes.
Yeah, I didn't like that she was so on board with working for the Hand and thinking it was a good thing for the kids, and then it seemed like she switched sides back to the good to help Danny a little too easily.
I like the idea though that the agents of the Hand don't know they're doing a bad thing, but that could have been illustrated in like okay, she's doing all this. There's like a charity front and whatever, and then over time Danny exposes it. And she's like crushed by the like one of her kids comes back, like a character that you've established, comes back dead as fuck. And it's clearly the work of the Hand. And you find out that basically she's training soldiers to give the Hand, something like that. Make it feel like real instead of just like, this is Chinese lady. And she's not part of the Hand, I guess, but she also is because I don't know. We have to have some sort of infighting for some reason, and then there's an attractive guy that looks like he would play a genie if it was any other film.
I didn't. You know what I didn't like? I didn't like. You think generally I like when there's villains, when there's like layers to them, or at least even criminal organizations. I like when it's a little more complicated. For some reason, the fact that the Hand has infighting, I didn't like. It kind of
makes it feel weaker. It takes it off the monolith.
Yeah, because up until this point, how we've seen it depicted in Daredevil is it's like a perfect organization with adherents that will always follow no matter what, and it seems almost religious in nature, and it seems like it's a cult. You know, they have the whole prophecy about what's her face, Daredevil's girlfriend, Elektra. Fuck, like I forget her. They have the prophecy about her coming and leading them and stuff. It seems weird to me that within this organization you would have other groups. That's the splinter group. It feels weird. It doesn't feel like the same organization in Daredevil. And I know they're different groups. I get it. But the fact that they're different groups, but they're both going by the Hand, it throws me off, and I don't like that.
I feel like they're doing this League of Shadows sort of spin-off, like rip-off thing, where they're like, yeah, but there's also a terrorist group.
The Hand is older. I think the Hand is older.
Than the League of Shadows in the other universe that doesn't
I just meant the writing in the comics. Well, you called them a ripoff, so that's why.
I see. I thought you okay. I was like, it doesn't matter in the timeline; they're separate.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just she was fine for the most part. Madame Gao, like as far as her performance is concerned.
Oh, I like her always when she shows up. She's just
right. Yeah. But like that weird gauntlet thing, which was some of the coolest fights because they weren't traditional fights. Like it was interesting. There was Spider Bitch for some reason. Then there was those two German twin or brother guys. That was neat. That was interesting. But like she's there, and then she ends up cheating at the end, which takes away her sort of. And like, that's what her almost borderline omniscience about all the events that are going on. Like that's what makes her scary. She's an old woman. If she just cheats to win, it kind of pulls the veil, I guess, off.
Yeah, I didn't like that because I liked going into the fight knowing, okay, these are two adherents of this ancient, philosophy. Right. So they're going to play this straight. They're going to honor this deal. And that was what was interesting. I really believed that if Danny had lost, he would have said, okay, I'm dropping the investigation. And I guess he kind of did, but all that shit. But
Right, but
even at the end, she comes out and she's like, "Oh, I'm basically cheating." It's like, well, he might as well kick her in the fucking head next time he sees her then. And I know she's magic, and he wouldn't be able to. But
what would have been way more clever is if he wins and she accepts the terms, but that was part of her plan, was for him to win, and like it was all just a plot. Like, it makes her scary and effective if she's in control.
Yeah.
Now, I know you wanted this sort of Hannibal thing with her for some reason, where you talk to her in a cell, I guess, about the hand to get some exposition, but it didn't really matter. It could have been. There's so many opportunities they had to not be lazy with the writing, and they didn't take those opportunities most of the time.
Yeah. Since we're talking about that fight scene, by the way, I guess we should probably talk about the fighting, since that's such a pivotal part of the various reviews of this. I think it's important to talk about.
First half of the fights are underwhelming, but it's kind of on purpose.
Oh god. Okay, so first of all, no, the fights aren't as impressive as Daredevil. Period. They're not, which is a real letdown considering he's supposed to be the master of martial arts in the Marvel universe. Yeah. I talked about this briefly in an episode right after the first episode came out. I kind of broke down the percentage, what I thought was wrong with the fights. I said 30%. It's a different fight style than Daredevil, so it looks less brutal in the first place. He uses more diversion techniques and like using people's own momentum against them.
He talks about it in Colleen's dojo too, where he uses her own momentum to kind of. So he does this jujitsu sort of like stepping out of the way and using their shit to, you know, make them trip or make them fuck up. Yeah, and he does do that with normal people.
Sure. And then about 30% was like. You have to have him in the shot. For instance, in Daredevil, they were wearing the mask, so you could have a stunt man on camera more often, which made the fights more impressive because he had a trained fighter. Whereas here, because he's not wearing a costume, which I think is stupid, it had to be him. It had to be the guy playing Danny's on camera most of the time, so they couldn't do more of the impressive stuff. And then the last 30%, it's a mix of how they shot it, which is the quick cuts, sort of more in the style of a modern action film where you can't see what's going on. And I think they were trying to use that to hide the fact that they couldn't use a stunt man, and they had to cut more to, you know, make it look realer, even though it made it look faker in the long run. It came together into this kind of perfect storm of meh fighting. And there are things that, sure, is it better than stuff on like network TV? Yeah, but I expect better than Netflix at this point. Like with stuff like Daredevil season 1, and even to an extent season 2, you were looking at almost HBO quality programming there, and here there's such a drop.
I mean, it was obviously not as good as season 1, but I mean, you still had the Punisher and all that stuff, which was fantastic. I think to me, this whole thing gets derailed from the onset because of the plot. Like, he comes back and he's a billionaire. Okay, we got to Batman him. I think it's much more interesting is like if for maybe even the first quarter to even 50%, depending on how you pull it off, if Iron Fist isn't the main character, if you're seeing Iron Fist actions through a third party and the mystery unfolds as you go, and he's wearing the mask and he's kicking the shit out of people, it could be a Daredevil-led series where Daredevil is finding out that there's a guy that, like, he could even wear a black mask and people could think it's Daredevil again, donning the black mask. That would be interesting. And he investigates. And then, like, he thinks at first it's a new threat because, I mean, the Iron Fist is blowing the doors off and punching the shit out of people. And maybe Iron Fist actually kills some people. Who knows? The Hand specifically would be bad guys or something. But and you kind of have this mystery ninja thing going on. And then you introduce him. He's the Iron Fist. And then you can get some Danny Rand stuff because he's not that interesting. Like, just at face value, he's just a guy that got trained in this really mystical place, which is way more interesting than him being trained already. And then his parents are dead because he's a superhero, and you cannot have parents. And he shows up in New York, and then he talks about an iPod for a second and some Starburst. He makes 90s jokes that don't really hit because they don't do it enough, and they don't like call it back enough to make it funny. So it's like this weird. They just it needed more mystery or needed to be funny.
They needed to play up. The one character trait that I actually thought was interesting in him and that made him unique amongst the defenders was the whole aspect of has been away from society for so long. So he's basically a child in an adult body. He has an innocence. He has sort of a rambunctiousness that should be there, that it appears when they want to for a gag or for plot convenience, but it disappears in scenes of dialogue. For instance, it feels like you're talking to a completely different character when he's just talking to someone. It's weird. There's a bit where he asks his secretary, like, if I want fruit roll-ups, can you get me fruit roll-ups? Like, it was tongue-in-cheek. Even he knew he was joking, but that was a very he's innocent type joke. And I wish there was more of that to define his character other than just he feels like generic fish out of water guy.
But they don't even play into the fish out of water stuff.
No, how about
the first 3 episodes?
How about you have a scene where he discovers, hey, did you hear about the incident? Did you hear there's aliens and gods and Captain America's? Like, there needed to be something somewhere at some point that established, like, wow, I am really out of it and I'm getting thrown back into it and shit is crazy.
You easily could have done like a really confused Danny Rand, like, and he could be making like references that used to be cool in the 90s to try to fit in, and people look at him weird. And it could have been funny because you could have called back to it. He could even have the corny 90s Iron Fist costume for a couple fights, and then like whoever's with him, make it Colleen Wing even, and they'd be like, "What the fuck are you wearing?" Like, I haven't seen shit like that since
do you remember
blankety blank like.
They showed like World War I or World War II footage, and you saw one of the last Iron Fist, and the costume actually looked pretty good. It looked
and
neat.
The fight was neat.
And you don't get any of that from the actual Iron Fist. I hope they almost do that exact same costume, because there are pictures online you can find of it in color when they were filming. It looks great, even in color. It's the right color. It's the yellow mask with like kind of the white eyes. It's very cool. So I hope they adapt that for Defenders. Because if they don't give him a costume, I'm gonna be mad. Because then Matt Murdock looks like a fucking dick. He's the only one there with a costume.
I think they'll all get costumes.
Yeah.
Well, not Jessica Jones. I think they might give her one. I think I mentioned this before. They might give her one that looks like it was in the Marvel the books, and then she's like, "I'm not fucking wearing that." And then that's the joke. Like, it's over. It's fun. But man. Now, can we talk about Claire though?
Okay, but then I want to talk about the Meachums, because I want to talk about their and their family drama.
Okay, we can talk about the Meachums in a second, because I guess I don't hate the guy that was the actor, but anyways. So Claire is force-fed to you. Claire's the night nurse, Rosario Dawson. She's been in all of them, and she's like, and there's a part of it where they almost touch on something that makes sense in the universe, where it's her fate, and because Madame Gao and magic exists, and okay, I'm fine with that. The Fate Infinity Stone exists, right? Isn't there a Fate Stone? No.
Yeah. So, no, there's no. But
is it the Time Stone? Am I thinking of, or there's one that basically determines shit like that, right?
Okay, as a whole, if you have the Infinity Gauntlet, you might as well just be able to control fate. I'll give you that, sure. I get what you're saying. So you can control reality and control.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yes. Anyways, so stuff in universe, it makes sense that like she'd be drawn to these events, and it was all sort of kind of it had to happen. But they did instead. She's like, literally at one point, Iron Fist and Colleen Wing are going to China to fight a world-renowned terrorist organization that deals in the magical and is a heroin empire. And Claire looks at them and goes, "Well, I guess I'm coming with you." And then she does. Claire, who is a fired nurse who just took 3 self-defense classes, is now going to go fight ninjas in China with a superhero, and she's gonna be altruistic asshole the whole time. It doesn't make sense.
She's in half the episodes this season. She's in 6 out of 13, so just about half. I don't know why they felt the need to. I like Claire. I really do. I like her as a character. I loved her in Daredevil. I thought she did a good job in Luke Cage, though that was one of the weaker series along with this. But here, it's like they were just like, we gotta put her in here all the time because we have access to her. So she's got to be in half the episodes for no reason, even though it doesn't make as much sense. Have her be in the show. have her provide guidance. I get it. I understand. But why is she going to China with them? I agree. I agree with Jake on this one.
Like, it doesn't... She could even just be there kind of at the end as sort of like a, oh, they're in the same area. Isn't that sweet and fun? That's fine, but like, she's like a major character in this that's making decisions. No, she's the fucking night nurse. That's like if Alfred, and I know they have stories like this, but that's like if Alfred fucking like goes to Green Lantern's house and they fight fucking the Yellow Lanterns. Doesn't make sense. Like, he wouldn't do that. Yes, of course he is in there. You have opportunity to do that if you would like, but you shouldn't. Now I'm gonna find out there's a Green Lantern Alfred comic.
I hope there is, just so people tell you to fuck off.
But they should fuck off because I guarantee that story sucks.
No, but I get what you're saying. I totally agree with you. They're using a tertiary character that's a very strong tertiary character and trying to force her into the main
but that's how
plot.
You ruin characters
too hard.
Like, can you imagine if they had made Wesley hand-to-hand combat Daredevil?
Yeah, wouldn't have been good.
This is that, but on the opposite side.
You're right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right. That's a really good point. They're taking a character out of a role, and not in like a we're doing a fish out of water way, not in a we're taking Janine ghost busting with us kind of fish out of water story where it's kind of fun. You know what I mean? But in a
comedy, yeah.
Right. But in a we're taking a character who really shouldn't thrive in this scenario, but making them like be competent in this scenario anyway because we like this character and we're fanficking it basically to the point where they're beyond their abilities. And
in season 2 of Daredevil, the ninjas attack the hospital and kill one of her friends, and she's like terrified. And I understand that in the plot, she goes to Colleen's place to learn self-defense because she was scared. She's not a fucking ninja. She's just not that. She can't, even if you put claws on your fucking hands, you're not going to beat up ninjas. And then she does it anyways. It's so dumb. I hate her more than I can really express now. I used to like that character, and it used to be Big Ears McRedhair from Daredevil that I didn't like.
I know you're Karen. What, Karen, yeah. I'm gonna be fine with it. I'm able to segregate this from the other shows because I know that the guy who did the final season of Dexter did it, so I don't put that on the, it's not Rosario Dawson's fault. I'm not gonna let this ruin her character for me. I'm sure she'll be fine in Defenders because it's under different people. But
exactly.
Can I point out the jokes that the one joke that pissed me off with Claire too? Now they did one reference / joke, which is funny. At one point she says "Sweet Christmas," which is funny because that's a Luke Cage thing, right? That's funny. Because she's dating Luke Cage, and they also make reference to like a love letter, and that wasn't like it's Luke Cage. They showed you the penitentiary. She looks at it a couple times. It's mentioned briefly, and then it's over and never gets talked about again. That's fine. That's a good reference to Luke Cage. Once they do it 4 times, I think 3 or 4. They make her say "Sweet Christmas." It's funny once. It's annoying twice. The 3rd time you go, oh God, guys, really? Please stop. 4th time you go, oh God. It's a groaner. It's a real groaner, and it's not like it would be funny if they'd done Defenders and then all the different characters say "Sweet Christmas" ironically or something. Like that's funny. Sure. Because they make fun of his old timey sort of, he's kind of got this. Almost like pastor vibe where he won't swear, but he does tough stuff, but he's tough love, but he's got a lot of idioms and a lot of fucking like sagely advice, but it fits the character, and then they make fun of him by saying "Sweet Christmas." She's not doing that. She just says it now. The thing she says. Yeah, I just don't know why they had her do it. It's so God. It's a restraint thing. They didn't have restraint. Let's talk about the Meachums. Meachums. Okay, so the Meachums are one of my favorite parts of the show, and let me explain why. What are their different names? Joy is the sister, Ward is the brother, and Harold is the father. By the way, did everyone notice that when Harold called the son in his phone, he was in there as Stein and Frankenstein came back from the dead? Funny joke. Anyway. Wow, that's fucking ham-fisted. I'm just saying that is the joke they did. Anyway, I'm glad I didn't notice that. I had thought about that name before too,
because I didn't know. Like I was like, why is that happening? But no.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing that makes the Meachums work, in my opinion, Ward, whoever the fuck plays Ward, what's his name? I have IMDb open right now.
He did fantastic.
He was the most interesting character in the entire show for me because he starts off as, I mean, he's clearly an asshole, and
he has an arc.
In the show, the first episode, I was like, oh my god, here we go. Because the first episode, I was already kind of feeling, I could tell the dialogue wasn't written as well as the other shows. I could tell it was a little more flat. So I was like, here we go. He's going to be the big corporate asshole. He's going to have no dimensions to him. It's going to be boring. I'm going to be annoyed by him.
Dimensions.
But he has the most dimensions out of almost any character. He
Not almost. Who has more?
Yep, he has the most dimensions of any character on this show. He has issues with his father, which you see plenty of because you see the two interact. The father isn't that interesting, but he's interesting in the sense that he puts that much pressure on his son and drives him crazy. The guy goes fucking nuts. You see him, he's on like some sort of prescription drug at first, probably some stress thing. And then you see him when he gets the heroin, he starts doing the synthetic heroin and he just goes down this fucking hole.
But also, he has like a brief moment of PTSD. He's in an obviously extremely abusive relationship, not to mention the pressures of corporate life and just like clearly it's all riding on his back because he's the only one that actually gets shit done at that place. And so he's got this billion-dollar corporation weighing down on him, which is being stood upon by his dad, who's supposed to be dead, which sounds like a soap opera, but they play it pretty well. And like the way like his hair becomes disheveled in like the perfect, of course it would become disheveled in that way kind of hair. So I mean, he looks tired. He goes through a lot. He has a lot of range as far as the emotions he can show because he makes jokes at some points, but then he's also like super depressed and about to fucking kill himself. He hides a body at one point and hallucinates it for 2 episodes because he has PTSD. Like, he's the best character, but he's better than Wesley, and I loved Wesley.
You like it, but I like Wesley better because I think.
Well, Wesley, if Wesley would have stayed around for another season, he'd be my favorite in the whole series, most likely. But you know, he was just so interesting, and then they cut it short, which made it more impactful. But this guy just had like he went through so much, and I'm actually like when he's on screen, I pay more attention, even though I don't usually do the phone or laptop and watch stuff. I don't like doing that. It kind of bothers me, but. I found myself drifting in thought when, like, I don't know, Colleen was on, you know, the main focus of a scene. Like, why are they doing this? Why is this happening? I wish this would happen. That kind of shit. But when he was on, I was all about it. Now, Joy wasn't as strong, but she wasn't like my low bar is Karen. If you can be better than Karen, you can be in the fucking series. She's better than Karen.
I don't know. I felt like her allegiances kept switching real quick with almost no prodding. Yeah. Like, especially in those, problems with the first 3 to 4 episodes, she kept switching back and forth between whether or not she was going to be sympathetic to this guy or whether or not she was going to try and fight him. It was a whole thing. It was very strange. I'm not sure.
They should have played up the daddy issues thing a little bit more because that's obviously what they were trying to do. But they didn't pull it off. So, like... There's Ward, and it's kind of a weird relationship they have. I don't want to call it incestual because it's not at all, but it's like way closer than you'd normally expect a brother-sister relationship to be without bordering into creepy. It just kind of gives you like a tinge of like, oh, those people are like weirdos.
I felt it was sort of codependent-y in that they leaned very hard upon each other, but he was clearly the domineering one.
Right, but I think because of other media, you see that trope in like almost Norman Bates without the murder, like where it's very dependent, and so it came across as like unsettling, which is fine. That felt tonally it felt fine, and then Harold comes into the picture, and then that gets real weird with specifically Joy. But I think the Ward-Harold relationship was interesting. And I think the guy that played Harold, I can't remember his name, but he was the storyteller in 300. If you remember, the guy with the eye patch that told the story, which was, I mean, like a decade and a half ago. But he did a really good job. The only thing is, though, and I think he actually is probably old enough to be real-life Ward's dad.
Yeah.
But didn't look like it still. And I understand that part of that was like the resurrection.
Yeah, that's what I would that's
but
my
I mean,
headcanon.
But still, like it was weird to see that guy call him dad. He was interesting, and I didn't like that they killed him and he came back. Like,
yeah,
like maybe don't blow your wad on that until like the very last episode, and he comes back, and then you find out all like maybe have other people have been resurrected, and then like have the caper of the season be sort of like, why are these people going fucking crazy? And over time, it's just, oh, when you get resurrected, you lose a part of your soul or whatever the fuck they want to call it, and you just become more violent and crazy and animalistic, and that's fine. But they didn't really do that. They told you some exposition about it, and then he came back in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And then, but that was after he had murdered those guys, right?
Yes, it was.
So it was, it could have been, I don't know. They could have done this sort of like bait and switch where you think Madame Gao's the main enemy, and then it turns into Harold. And it did, but it didn't do it at a pace that was satisfying because the reveal was so early that the payoff was late.
Yeah. I don't
But I liked his performance. That guy, he did fine. The character wasn't messed up at all. Like, it was a fine character, I thought. His motivations were sound. It didn't seem like he wouldn't want the things he wanted in the show. It was like the only thing is Danny Rand's utter obliviousness to any manipulation. And I get that, but they didn't play up into the 90s. Like, I'm from the 90s.
Again,
I don't
they needed to play it up more. So
I don't play the game. I don't socialize with people like this, so I don't understand. They didn't do that. Like, the best way to do that is have someone in Danny's ear being like, you're being manipulated.
Oh,
like telling it.
Can I also bring up Ward Meachum's, or any of the Meachum's, weird perception of what the public likes or dislikes in a company? Because anytime Danny did something nice, they freaked out like it was going to be a PR nightmare, when in actuality, in real life, if a CEO was caught on tape doing any of the nice things he was doing, public perception would go up, so the stock would go up, so shareholders would be happy. Companies do like, and remember, the first big decision Danny makes is like, we're going to sell this drug at cost. And everyone's freaking out. And like, companies do stuff like that for PR all the time. That's why companies don't make one product. Like, there are companies that do the opposite and jack up prices as well, and they're making a commentary on that or whatever, but it's not a smart commentary, because there are businesses that do that. And then, by the way, write off the part that the at cost part that they could have charged as a charitable donation, and then pocket money and pay fewer taxes.
Okay, Bill and Melinda Gates do this, but they feed it back into the charity, so it's fine. But like, it doesn't seem corrupt. At least I'm not an accountant, but they literally do this, like what Danny Rand was doing. They're like, oh, we'll clean it up and we'll give people water, and like, and no one's ever like, yeah, that Bill Gates is sure an asshole. For not looking at the profit margin all the time for his giant corporation. It's so, that was weird. But I did Ward. I don't think Ward was ever like, Ward's primary focus was always seemingly the profit, and Joy was the one that brought up the PR the most.
Right, but they're like a publicly traded company. If public perception of them looks very positive, like when Danny, like that woman with the kid with cancer, if that actually happened in real life, do you know how fucking quick a public campaign to buy that company's products would go? If a CEO was caught candidly, not in like a obvious PR stunt, but candidly saying to someone in a compassionate way, we're going to make this right, I apologize. Can you fucking imagine if like the owner of Dow Chemical or GE or something got caught doing that? Oh my God, people would freak out and their stock would go up and they would make money. I mean, I'm just saying, some of the decisions very much, it's funny because you can tell the showrunner's the same guy who did the last season of Dexter. Some of the motivations people had and thoughts they had were so contrived and just not realistic, and not in a comic book way, in a, we need a contrived reason for this character to feel this way so the story can move forward, and I'm not a better writer, so I don't know how to do so kind of way.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Is there
Someone
anything
also,
else specifically to talk about before we get to questions? Or
I was gonna say in the live chat, someone mentioned they think the show could have been 6 episodes and it would have been tighter. I would go 8, but it definitely
yeah, I
didn't
was
need to
thinking
be
8.
13. Too many, which is why I'm happy. Defenders is actually only 8, and I think that's with Luke Cage and this.
Yeah.
I think they both needed some cuts, but they couldn't because they were contracted. Netflix had a contract which was for a specific number of episodes.
Well, and that's kind of
So-
why I was thinking, like, give it, between 25 and 50% of like not knowing who the fuck Iron Fist is and like unraveling that over time, because otherwise it's just like his backstory doesn't cover enough ground to warrant 13 episodes.
I think their new contracts, by the way, don't specify like how many episodes per season. So I think we shouldn't run into this problem as often if they think it through first.
Yeah, and just spend a little time on like asking why when you write things. Like, why would Danny fucking fight so hard for $1 billion company? Oh, because it's his family name. Oh, then fucking drive that home early on and have that be his main argument. Not like, oh, I'm Danny Rand. Don't you remember me? We were childhood friends. Like, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is why he's motivated, not the arguments he uses to tell other people. So it's they didn't do enough like digging into their own thought processes. Like, there wasn't, I don't know what that writer's room looked like, but it needed people to be like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. So
that's usually the problem with these kinds of things, by the way.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up, by the way. If anyone has any last minute questions, we're also going to talk about some other stuff real quick, but let us know about Iron Fist stuff. By the way, since this and Luke Cage had problems, people have been asking like, which one did you like better? Honestly, I think they're about on the same level to me. It's just that Luke Cage's shitty episodes come at the end and Iron Fist's shittiest episodes come at the beginning. So it's sort of a pick your poison kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I
by
think
the way,
about even.
I'm bitching about this. I view the entire season positively.
I think it's watchable, but
it's in the green for me. It's not. It doesn't. I don't know. Like if of course, if I separate the front half from the back half, the front half is deep in the red. But the back half, like, I thought the stuff at the end was interesting because his whole fucking place disappears. Now, they didn't really drive that home enough, I don't think, because we don't visit there enough to give a shit what happens to the people when they disappear. So, and Colleen's there for some fucking reason. But it just like it had some redeeming stuff. I thought the kind of conversations that he had with his former friend were pretty interesting. Although that I got a real what was the guy's name? Chiwetel Ejiofor or whatever from Doctor Strange. I got a real him vibe from that tertiary character, especially considering the change at the end of Doctor Strange, where he's the bad guy, the black guy who was his friend, that Chiwetel Ejiofor, the guy that was in 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but who are you comparing him to?
His friend with the shaved head and the nice facial hair, the clearly very attractive man.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I got it was the same vibe, basically. And they did basically the same shit. So, I don't know. I thought I'm going to give it like a 6.5 or 7.
I'll give it a 6.
Whatever is like, whatever I gave Luke Cage, give it like half a point more. I don't remember what I gave Luke Cage. But yeah, I just think the last half of Luke Cage was really bad.
Yeah, I'm going to say 6. It's in the yellow for me. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, but I don't have a problem with this character as long as it's written better in Defenders. I'm totally fine with what they've set up. I feel bad for Finn Jones. I don't think he's like an amazing actor or anything.
He did fine.
But it was hard material to work with, so I feel for him on that front.
I mean, after he blew up in Game of Thrones, it wasn't like...
Yeah. Oh, someone asks, is it still better than the DC TV shows? In my opinion, yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't really like Flash, and I really don't like those shows. I hate the tone. I don't like the fact that they all have
given them
teams.
A chance.
Yeah.
Also, Superman's and Supergirl, so dumb. But Jake, who do you want to bang more, Danny or Brown Danny that was in charge of the hand? Brown Danny. Danny.
How do you think the characters will first meet up, or what order? I'm assuming you're talking about Defenders. I'm gonna guess what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a bait and switch. We're gonna be at the prison with Luke Cage because that's where he wound up at the end of his show. A lawyer's about to come in. We're gonna assume it's gonna be Daredevil, but nope. It turns out it's Foggy. Foggy working for what's her face's law firm, Jerry Hogarth, her law firm. Gonna try and get him out. It'll cut to Jessica Jones. Either Finn or Matt will probably hire Jessica for something, or alternatively, they could all be investigating just the hand, and they happen to run into each other at the same time. It'll be a comedy thing where everyone's like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here? What do you know?"
No, what's going to happen is Claire is going to just call a meeting.
Oh, maybe we'll see. That would
well, no,
make sense.
and then it's going to be the Claire show for 8 episodes.
You
guys can't kill anybody, but also save the city. I was attacked by ninjas. I went to China. No one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck about you.
Someone asked us, do we think he should have been Asian? No.
He's never been Asian.
He's
what
never
the
been
fuck?
Asian. He's never been Asian. That's
Ever.
not... No. And I don't think that's cultural appropriation. The character, they even talk about it in the show. He says, I was an outsider. It was harder for me, but I worked by... I don't know.
So dumb. It's just like... they're doing that Full Metal Alchemist thing, right? Did you see that? And apparently, and I don't watch anime, Full Metal Alchemist takes place in World War I Europe.
It's like I've seen it. Yeah, it's like the characters are actually Western. But the
people are like, let's give them Asian people. You realize that's racist, right? Like you are you're racist anyway.
They are Asian because they're doing it in Japan, but I don't care that Japanese people are playing characters that were drawn as white.
Right. I
think
the idea that you have to be Asian to do Asian things is racist as fuck.
My thing is, if you're mad about what's her face in Ghost in a Shell, but you're not mad about the Asian person playing the main character from Full Metal Alchemist, even though it's not an Asian character, you might want to take a look and say, why am I mad about one and not the other? Because neither is doing harm to either. It doesn't matter. It's fine. But
wait, wasn't Trinity in the show, the lesbian lawyer? Yeah, that's Jerry Hogarth.
Jerry, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that. Claire's going to declare a meeting. Yep. I don't want that to happen, by the way. That's not my endorsement. That's just what I think they're going to lazily do. Same issue with the Attack on Titan live action movie. Are they doing that?
There's only they already did it. Season, right? Or is there? They already did it. It sucked. It was with. I want to say it was made in South Korea.
Could that be makes wrong. Sense.
With South Korean actors.
Movies suck. Do you guys think the Punisher could make a cameo appearance in Defenders, or at least a mention in passing? They are doing the Punisher series, right?
They just wrapped filming.
Which is probably going to be great. It's probably going to bring us back to that Daredevil 1.
I hope so.
Well,
I think Defenders will. I think Defenders will. I think Defenders will be fine.
Is that first?
Yes, Defenders comes out first.
Okay. I don't know. I think you could just leave it. That'd be ideal. I don't need a callback to every fucking thing. But if they did, I think it should be like through Jessica Jones, like investigating shit.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It doesn't make sense otherwise. Like maybe it could just be like at the end of Defenders, they do this sort of thing where she investigates, she finds out what he's doing, and it's sort of like a teaser. That's the best I want. Sure. Other than that, I don't need him because he's not a member of the Defenders, and it's not necessary. Like,
I don't think he meshes. He doesn't mesh as well either because he's all.
Dude, can you imagine him and Luke Cage? Like, they would not get along. So, and Luke would probably crush his skull.
I wouldn't mind if there's like a thing where there's one episode where they're like, we need a specific thing, and Daredevil's like, I know a guy, and they go and find him in like a bar, and they get help from him or something. But that's it.
Not one super chat today. Is that a thing we can do? Like I've heard people do it, but I don't.
Super chat. I don't like to do it.
Pay us for that.
They pay, yeah, and that's silly. I read all the comments anyway, as long as it's not going super fast.
Maybe on the other channel, but not this one.
Yeah.
Because this one's like we can manage this shit.
Yeah.
You're both racist clown fuckers, and I like it. All right. What do you think about the Defenders not making it to the Avengers 3 and 4 movie? I don't care. That's fine.
I get why they don't.
I would happily have a short cameo though. Like that'd be totally fine. Even if it was like really quick, say maybe Iron Man, although it'd be Tony, so he's not in the armor. He like walks through something, like maybe he just like bumps into Foggy at the store, or so, like and it like, or at like the lawyer building, and it's like, oh, you're Tony Stark, and he goes, I don't know who you are, and he walks away, and that's it. Like it could just be something simple and fun. I don't think you need to have them fight alongside anybody though. Daredevil would get his ass whooped.
The reality of the situation right now is the heads of the TV departments at Marvel and the heads of the movie departments don't get along, so there's not going to be any sort of official crossover anytime soon.
Oh, they don't get along?
And it's not Feige. It's the head of the TV department, I guess, is a huge fucking asshole.
Weird.
Like he made fun of Black Widow or something at some point, and he's like, why? Like he's just he's like an older guy. He's like,
the fuck?
He like,
why?
Yeah, he's old fashioned and just doesn't. I get the feeling he doesn't like his job very much. I don't know, but yeah, he doesn't want him to cross over because he doesn't like Feige for some reason. I don't know why. But honestly, I heard an interesting idea. If you want to do something TV that has to do with Infinity War, but you can't do an official thing because, you know, there's disagreements or whatever, what I would do is have a special either movie or series of Defenders come out around the same time as the movie and have it be, what were the Defenders doing while the Avengers were off doing their thing? Maybe some other threat comes to New York while the Avengers are off doing Infinity War. You know what I mean? So the Defenders have to defend New York.
I think it'd actually be all right if, like, that's mentioned and people are like asking where the Avengers are, like out loud, like in the newspapers and shit. Where the fuck are the Avengers? They said they'd be here. It's kind of the thing, and then the Defenders kind of do it, and it would be a lot harder for them, and I think that would be pretty interesting. What was someone said? Oh fuck, you guys chatted. Okay, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was going to say, someone said like they're never going to cross over. No, probably not. It would shock me if they did. But a couple years ago, I would have been shocked if Spider-Man showed up too. So, you know, money can make companies do things they otherwise wouldn't. But I also understand it for the movie division. Like if you threw Daredevil into an Avengers movie as a cameo, like half the people in the audience would be like, who the fuck was that? Because not everyone watches or is aware of
it. Yeah, they'd have to be in costume.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Gus Topher asked, post Defenders, what would you guys think of a proper Ghost Rider series, or has Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ruined that? I think Hugo is very pro Ghost Rider series, and I would warm up to it if we had another strong Netflix season in the Marvel universe. So
I'm not only very pro Ghost Rider, I would like them to do, after they're done with Defenders, I would like them to do Ghost Rider, Blade, maybe Moon Knight. You know, some of the supernatural.
Moon Knight would be interesting because I've never seen anything about him.
He's basically Batman.
I know.
Get some of the supernatural themed characters, give them their own shows, and then have them team up and do so. I assume in the comics there's probably already a team of like supernatural Avengers, Defenders, you know. So maybe have that, and then the big bad for their series will be like vampires, and Blade will be like, all right, we got to stop the vampires, and, you know, whatever. Or demons, or fucking, what's his face? Mephisto's coming, and we got to stop Mephisto. I don't know if the movies would let them use Mephisto, because he's a pretty big villain, but if they did, you know. So I don't know. That's what I would like. Someone, Whiplash asked, well, yeah, we might as well talk about this. We'll talk maybe a little bit again at the end. Someone said Star Wars trailer dropped today, which it did as of this live recording. Any thoughts, Jake, since we're all here and live anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
I have thoughts on it. Do you want to do that here? Like
just briefly, just like it, like not like a full thing.
I guess it wasn't that dense, I suppose, but a few things jumped out at me. Number one was the return of practical effects, which I'm happy with, of course. I'll let you do the big one, because I thought that, like, I watched it the second time, and after you mentioned that, I went back and looked at it and thought, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I'll let you talk about that one. The other one was Finn is in like a chamber, and it looks like he's it's not a Bacta tank, but it looks reparative. So he could be getting his shit fixed after the Kylo fight, I guess. But I thought he showed up after that. The we have this sort of the Empire mirror again, where we have a training thing on a different planet. So we have Luke and Rey instead of Yoda and Luke, and we have instead of a walker fight on Hoth, which is a tundra planet, we have a walker fight on a desert. So looks like we're gonna get more mirror stuff, which is fine.
It's like poetry; it rhymes.
But I think this is going to end that specifically because of what Hugo's about to tell you in a little bit. And there was one more thing. We get to see the scene from the flashback, or I guess flash forward, Rey had when she was in Maz Kanata's like little temple thing, and she touched the lightsaber the first time, and she saw presumably Luke's robot hand touch R2-D2. We saw another angle of that pointed at what looks like Maz Kanata's palace, but I could be totally wrong there, because I think that already got blown the fuck up.
The outside surrounding area got blown up, but the building we never saw take serious damage.
But it could be something else. It doesn't matter. It could be an old Jedi temple or something. So I think we're going to see that. Kylo's helmet was smashed, I believe. I don't think that was Darth Vader's helmet because it had
it was Kylo's.
Okay, yeah. And I think this is where we're going to see the Knights of Ren. Anything else? I don't know. Looks like it's probably going to be really good again. I really liked Force Awakens. I think it's one of the better Star Wars movies. So,
someone asked, why didn't we ever talk about Star Wars Rogue One? We did a live thing for that. Go find it. The thing I'm going to say about it is something that I'm sure other people have said. I literally saw someone already in the live chat mentioning it. What I think is going to happen, and this isn't an original idea, other people have said it. I think Luke, being jaded by what happened with Kylo and the Knights of Ren, he's going to decide that the Jedi Order is outdated and wrong, and in fact trying to cling only to the light is just as unbalancing to the Force as clinging to the darkness. So what he needs to do is not train Rey to be a Jedi, but to be a neutral Force user who is able to, at their own discretion, decide what they want to use.
Typically a gray Jedi is what they're called, right?
Yeah, or whatever. They'll probably, that's in like Legends now, I think, so they'll probably call it something else. But because they're going to try and get away from the word Jedi. But yeah,
right. Also Jedi are like really strict. They're a religious cult. They're really strict, and it's to their detriment. But also the Sith are too free and easy about a lot of stuff, which is to their detriment. So I think he sees like the balance isn't having opposite forces; it's having one person that's just well-rounded.
Yeah, I agree. And something similar may happen to Kylo. I don't know. His helmet smashed. It wouldn't surprise me if in the end they kind of teamed up. It'd be interesting against some greater evil. I wouldn't mind because it's new, and I'd like something new in the Star Wars universe. But I don't know. That's, I think, all I have to say about that. It was compared to the initial teaser for episode 7, it was lighter because it was basically all just training montage, Luke speaking. So there wasn't like a lot going on.
So there's going to be a lot of Luke in this movie though, which is cool. Because obviously that hasn't happened in decades. I don't think anyone's surprised. I think she's going to have to do another one of those trial things, but kind of like Luke did, where, with the Darth Vader vision and whatever. But I think we're going to get a little bit more out of the scene this time. I don't know. I'm happy with what I saw so far. Obviously, Poe's back, which just brings me joy. I hope he has more one-liners in this movie. We didn't have.
Yeah,
Han's gone. Sure. So
yeah, he's gonna be the Han basically.
He better get Chewie. He better fucking get Chewie. I think it's gonna be Finn and Rey, but I want Chewie to like be Poe's bro. Although Poe has BB-8, so I guess you got to give Finn Chewie because they have like this comedy thing where he doesn't really respect Chewie because he doesn't understand him and thinks he's an animal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be the matchup. But
I think if anyone has the last questions for Iron Fist, do them. Because I'm gonna talk about Mystery Science Theater 3000 for a second because the new series came out today.
For those of you a sex scene. No.
For those of you who haven't seen Mystery Science Theater 3000, it's a show from like the 90s where people would get together and they're doing characters like robots and they sit in front of a shitty movie and make fun of it. Netflix recently brought it back. It premiered today with 14 new episodes. A lot of new fucking episodes. And I watched the first one. Just want to let you guys know, if you're a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000, you will like it. They nailed it. It's just like the original, except honestly, I think it's a little funnier just because the jokes are a little, how do I put this? It feels a little more modern, but it's good. You'll like it. And it's got Patton Oswalt in it, who is always funny. So check it out if you like it. And let's see what the final questions are. Should they bring Doom into the MCU? I'd like to see Doctor Doom. He's the only part of Fantastic Four that's actually interesting to me, other than maybe the Human Torch. But they can't for legal reasons because Fox owns the rights to the movie rights still. But if they did a deal and brought Doctor Doom in, I wouldn't mind them bringing Doctor Doom in after Thanos as the big bad and just leave the Fantastic Four out of it. That's fine. Let's see. Will there be an Iron Fist season 2 or isn't it worth it? I'd prefer that they actually take Luke Cage and Iron Fist and combine them into just their own series where they team up and have it be heroes for hire. Because if you don't know, in the comics, they become teammates and they open a business together, which seemed like they were setting that up at the end of Luke Cage season 1 when he got that Pop's barber shop but didn't know what to turn it into. I think the implication is they're going to turn it into heroes for hire. So I'd like them to get a joint series together. I think it would
Heroes for Hire would be fun.
It fixed the problem of there being too many episodes because you have twice as many main characters that'd be an ensemble.
Also, it could be a villain of the week sort of thing.
Sure, that's fine. I wouldn't mind that. Have you guys heard of Dimension 404 on Hulu? I have. I think that's a good idea. I don't know if it'll be done well because it's Hulu. Have you heard of it, Jake?
Mm-mm.
It's a parody of Black Mirror. Hulu's doing their own Black Mirror, but it's like making fun of the concept of Black Mirror.
That could fall apart real quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and it's Hulu, so I'm not sure. But Hulu's done some good stuff too. But the trailer actually looked kind of funny, if that makes sense.
Josh Brolin is Cable.
Yep, Josh Brolin is going to be Cable in Daredevil, or not Daredevil, sorry. I'm still in Defenders mode. In Deadpool 2. That's a decent casting choice. Yeah. It's interesting that he's also playing Thanos. So,
yeah, that's fine, though. Like, I think he'll be fine. I like Brolin. I liked him in No Country for Old Men. Mm-hmm. And in W, in which he played George W. Bush.
Could you feel the Mark Hamill pure salt about The Force Awakens on the live panel? I've been watching Star Wars, the Star Wars Fest or whatever the fuck it's called is going on right now. I guess something funny happened. I didn't see it. I don't know.
Why would he be upset about The Force Awakens?
Maybe he didn't know he wasn't going to have any lines or something. I don't know.
I suppose he's probably joking though. He's usually a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. Oh, someone says I can't wait for Colleen and Misty to team up like in the comics. Yeah, actually, in the show, Colleen was Misty Knight, the detective in Luke Cage. In the comics, Misty Knight and Colleen Wing team up and start a detective agency together. And there's actually a reference to it in Iron Fist. I forget what the fuck it's called. Their comic when they team up is called something like the Daughters of the Dragon or something like that. I forget. Hold on.
Colleen is the daughter of the dragon.
Right. They call her the Daughter of the Dragon in the show. In the comics, when they team up, they're called the Daughters of the Dragon. Is what they call.
Well, she's in the comics as the Daughter of the Dragon, I believe.
Well, I'm just letting you know that's what apparently.
Okay. Anyway, I don't really have any more to say about any of it, to be honest. But
yeah,
I'm gonna notice. You are noticed. Yep. I think the costume will be fine.
Yeah, I think honestly the costume they did in the black and white scene was super cool. So if they just take that or do mostly that, I think it'd be fine. But yeah, overall final thoughts. If you're a fan of Defenders, I'd still recommend watching Iron Fist, but you could probably do something with that in the background, like if you want to balance your checkbook or like color or something. I don't know. You could probably
Zelda.
Play Zelda or something if you can. Sometimes I'll play Fallout and I'll have my tablet open with a show on in the background. You can do that just so you get the basics of the character. You kind of get the powers down, even if the fight scenes aren't that interesting. There's a couple that it's like, all right, I'll watch that.
I watched every minute of it though without interruption. So
I'm not mad I watched it. I'm just probably not going to watch it again like I am Jessica Jones or Daredevil.
I might do a binge of all the seasons at one point, but it's going to be a while from now. Like I don't think I could sit through Luke Cage and Iron Fist back to back for a while.
I agree. I agree with that entirely. So
because that's like 12 episodes in a row from the end of Luke Cage and through the first half of this.
Yes,
like of just dead. So
wow, you're not kidding. So I don't know. Overall, it doesn't really. Don't get me wrong. If Luke Cage in this had been Daredevil and Jessica Jones level quality, I would be even more hyped for Defenders. But even those last two being not as good, I'm still hyped because I still, at the end of the day, I liked the characters. I still like Luke Cage a lot. He was still excellent in Jessica Jones. It's just that show suffered because of the end. They changed villains. That's not Mike Coulter's fault. And Iron Fist.
I don't actually feel like any of the characters are that weak. The main characters.
No, and Iron Fist, I thought was if put in the hands of more competent writers, I feel like a character is there that's interesting. And even the one we have right now, I'd like to see him interact with Luke Cage because they are friends in the comics, and I want to see that happen. So, while I do hope they never hire the Dexter guy again, although he's the showrunner of their Inhumans show too, that's supposed to be coming out. So what a choice. Definitely not gonna be watching that show now. It's not a Netflix thing, so this is not a big deal. I think that's going to be like an ABC tie-in to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I haven't really watched any.
Keep him on ABC, and that's fine.
Yeah, but anyway, I guess that's it. So thanks, everyone. We'll be back to the next thing we're probably talking about. There's a Marvel movie coming out soon. Which one is it? Hold on.
Thor?
No, there's another one coming out first, I think.
Well, Wonder Woman's out very next, right?
I'll look. Coming soon.
Oh, okay. Spider-Man in May?
Might be.
Wow, this is. I've given
I know.
you're
gonna all be excited while we wait and watch me search for the next movie. April, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes out in like 3 weeks.
What is that? It
May 5th.
Oh, fuck. Okay, cool.
That's what it was. I knew
there's something to live for.
Yeah, so we'll watch that and we'll review that. Will probably be the next thing.
If it's bad, I might as well just end it right on stream.
Yeah, so I don't think we have a live stream next week. We'll be back to our normal weekly shows until Guardians of the Galaxy. So thanks, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Hope you guys enjoy all the Defender series, even if some of them are weaker. And yeah, so bye, everyone. Here you go.
Jake.